What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm retired F-16 pilot turned UFO investigator Chris Lato. We have an exciting video today. I will analyze the Mosul Orb. Jeremy Corbell released the Mosul Orb along with George Knapp on his new podcast, a weaponized podcast. Only this image has been released, along with the knowledge that there is a classified 4-second video out there somewhere, and this orb apparently, or sphere, whatever you want to call it, stays along with the aircraft, the MC-12 aircraft that is recording it for 4 seconds, doesn't lose altitude, according to Jeremy Corbell. He also said that this event is included in the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO Office of Investigations. So they've been looking at this UAP. It would have been great if we had this information. At least the new office of AARO sounds like it has a direction. We'll see if anything comes out of it. In this video, I give my best take on what the debunkers will say. I'm pretty sure I know what their guess is going to be. And if you stick around to the end, I will tell a rare war story from this area from flying the F-16. Thanks for being here. Smash that like button if you do like this content, and subscribe to get notifications of future videos. On to the video. This is from Jeremy Corbell's Twitter account. Mosul Orb, U.S. military filmed UFO from an active conflict zone, officially designated by the U.S. government and intelligence agencies as a UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and currently part of the active UAP investigations under the U.S. DoD. This should be investigated by the AARO office. Here is the image. This is all we get. So this is a FLIR image from an MC-12 aircraft. These are one of these intelligence gathering, right, spy planes you can put on these FLIR. So these are liquid cooled systems. This is most likely an MX-25. MX-25 can see at night during the day, and it can zoom in. Based on the specs, this goes out to about 1.1 degrees, so well zoomed in. As you can see here, this was 16 April 2016, 9:47 UTC. So that's Zulu time. I had to look it up, but Baghdad is 3 hours from Zulu. So this should be 12:47. So right after noon. After 12 noon. As we go across, other auto modes required. What's important down here is this is the target information. Okay, so it says here 102 line of sight. And then this says 38 Sierra LF 3703 2181 for the target. Okay, that should be right where these crosshairs are pointing. These coordinates are called MGRS coordinates, grid reference system. This is what we used in Iraq because the army uses this system. It's just kilometer squares. It acts like the world is flat and you work in 1 kilometer squares, whereas you're probably used to GPS coordinates. GPS coordinates are based on latitude and longitude, but as you go up in latitude, right, further north or south away from the equator, the longitude lines get closer together. So actually your longitude and latitude lines aren't always the same, whereas MGRS coordinates, it's always a kilometer, right? Funny, we also use a kilometer. So if you convert that, you get a location in Mosul, right just north of the hospital. It is great all the information is here because normally some of the information is blacked out. Well, we'll see why. Maybe we can figure out exactly where the plane is videoing from and the location. So what's great is we have exactly the coordinates. We can zoom in right away, right within a meter, essentially. And what do we get? Okay, so we have a normal looking street. Okay, I don't remember when I was flying, actually, we didn't have any color in the pod. So that's amazing. So color really adds a lot of value. So we have a red brick here and we have a red roof here and the shape of this building. You can see clearly the shape of this building. Okay, and I was looking also in Google Earth, I was looking for this cutout. This should be easy to see. Okay, so I see a little L-shaped building with a radar dish on top, and I see a little cutout building in the shape of maybe the top of an M. The actual FLIR video should look similar to the Aguadilla event. The Aguadilla event was actually the previous version of the pod, the MX-15. That was taken from a DHS aircraft, I believe. Same type of aircraft, essentially. So what does this help with? Well, if we know exactly where the plane is when it takes its video, now we can confirm that this image is correct, or could it be faked for some instance? This is from Mick West's Metabunk website. He says lack of focus at 1500 millimeter focal length, so very powerful zoom, maybe 1 degree field of view, suggests it's not near the ground. Specular highlights suggest a metallic sphere such as a metal-coated mylar. Not falling suggests a balloon. Reported motion suggests parallax illusion, but verbal descriptions are not much to go by. It looks kind of like a water droplet. So as we go back to the field of view, does look zoomed in, 1 degree angle of view. If we look, he's about 4.5 miles away. Okay, so this is how far away the actual aircraft is, 26,683 feet, slant range. The ground is at 720 feet above sea level. The aircraft is flying at 19,403 feet. This is above sea level as well, so you have to subtract that. So about 18.5 thousand feet, so that's 3.1 nautical miles up. This is the altitude of the aircraft, and the slant range is 4.5 nautical miles. So that means we're at away from the target, 4.5 nautical miles by slant range, but over the ground is about 3.2 nautical miles. That puts the aircraft over this open area when it's actually taking the video. So the orb is actually somewhere along this line of sight, right? Somewhere along the line of sight. So where is it along that line of sight? So it's 4.5 nautical miles away. When we look here, the sun angle does match the sun calculation. If we look at sun calc for that time of day, it comes from the southwest around 60 degrees. The angle I'm looking at here is around 45 degrees. If you look here, this is around 45 degrees. And if we measure here, 3.1 nautical miles, 3.2 nautical miles on a side, and then the slant range, we're at about a 45 degree look angle down. So if we imagine the orb, or the sphere, as Mick West calls it, is the size of this radar dish, which is 1 meter across, I would estimate, then we can determine that if it was 1 meter across here, then halfway to the actual camera lens, it would double in size. So it would effectively double in size. So in this case, this orb is around double the size of this, if we measure it. So if this orb is 1 meter across, the size of this rather large radar dish, this actually looks a little bit larger, right? If this is a air conditioning unit here, and it's halfway in between us and the ground, then this would be a correct image. This blurriness, this fuzziness could be attributed to motion blur as well. So it's hard to tell. We'll have more information after we get the video. But if it's a meter across and it is halfway between us and the ground, then this is basically what it will look like. And to me, it looks like a silver sphere, silver ball. If it's halfway, that would put the object actually in this location. So let's say it's closer to the ground. If it's a third of the way towards the ground, then it would actually be larger than that 1 meter across radar dish. What's my guess? My guess is it's a little bit larger. It's about a meter across, and it would be about halfway to a third of the way up from the ground. So maybe over this water area. Again, this is all just guesstimates. What's interesting here is it can't be a water droplet either on the lens because this thing is so far zoomed in. It's just so far zoomed in. It's like a window in front of you. It can't see what's actually on the window if it's zoomed way past the window into the distance. So the fact that it's zoomed to infinity and we can see objects here, okay, this backyard, we can see this, means that it's not a droplet. And it's not interacting with the surrounding area, okay? It seems fuzzier, so like Mick West said, it's not close to the ground. So what are the debunkers gonna say? What do you think? If they can't tell it's something flying, it's going to be a balloon. It's going to be a balloon. Okay, a mylar coated metallic looking balloon. And they have examples on Metabunk website. So I think this is all I can consider is that it could be something floating in the air in between the aircraft and the ground. And it's a silver reflective ball. It's reflecting the sun at the appropriate angle. One thing I couldn't find is the weather. From the actual image, doesn't look like there's wind. You know, you can't see smoke or anything like that. It looks like just a relatively normal clear day, but if there is wind, that could affect whether it's a balloon or not, right? If there's high winds and it's in the same location, then that'll lead us to say it's not a balloon, it's some type of advanced drone. My most recent popular video was with Eric Delgado. That was a light orb. You know, could this be a light orb? It's just, this is what it looks like during the day. Also, could this be like the Bet's sphere? Nigel Benton as well. He's a viewer, UAP Society member, and he recorded twice what looks like white spheres up in the air during the day, during daytime. We also have in Russia, the recent Russian shoot down of a UFO. It was supposedly a white ball. So interesting that we keep seeing these white spheres, white balls showing up. Could it be related to Tic Tacs, or is this something different? Is this the box orb we see on the East Coast? Interesting stuff. Jeremy Corbell, he was on Tonanza, and he teased that something big would be coming out in January, and that's what we've seen. So great job. Thanks to Jeremy so much for all his connections and for getting this information out there. As promised, as a war story, I was deployed to Balad in 2005 for 5.5, almost 6 months. I was there for almost 6 months as an F-16 pilot, a flight lead. One of my first alert missions is basically, I think the first week we were there, I was sitting alert. So when you're on call to actually launch with another pilot, Shrek. His call sign was Shrek because, you know, he looked like Shrek, big guy, great pilot. We were watching on TV, right? You could feel it kind of, the war drums were beating up, okay? Nothing had really happened, but we were watching on TV in the alert shack on CNN about Tal Afar, this town called Tal Afar. We're just watching. We hear nothing else, right? Except for that, oh, there's something on TV. I heard it's heating up north. And so they launch. And where do we go? We go to Tal Afar, which is right next to Mosul. I flew several missions, many missions, I guess, in Mosul as well. It's a much larger city, 1 million people than Tal Afar. And luckily, there just wasn't much fighting then. I did have one special forces mission in Mosul. But this is about Tal Afar. We launched to Tal Afar, so you run out to the jets, 5-minute alert. We launch, get out to Tal Afar. We're very excited to support the guys on the ground, the guys who are fighting. We're up in the air. We have all the training. We're ready. And we get there, and they just, it's like we're at a baseball game almost. We check in. They put us around the orbit. We're orbiting around Tal Afar. And basically, I remember there was a tank right up next to a building. And the tank was right up next to the building and just shooting right next to it. So what did they need from us? They wanted us to do what's called a show of force, where we stop the fighting. And initially, we want to fly very low over the battlefield, scare the enemy, stop them from attacking, and maybe they will leave. So it's like a warning shot, if you will, but no one gets hurt. So it's a great tactic, great technique. And so I got to fly right down the road. I flew right down the road, sideways actually. So I was sideways. You can kick the rudder in F-16. And I was looking around, throwing maybe symbols to the bad guys, is what I hoped, as we were flying by. So I was flying by very fast down the center of the road. I do remember that. It was pretty awesome. And I also remember asking Shrek, that's embarrassing, and I'd already been a seasoned pilot, but I hadn't peed in the jet that much. And I remember asking him, hey man, do you have any techniques for peeing in the jet? And he answered, he's like, now? You want that now? We're in the middle of a fight. So we didn't do that. That was in Tal Afar. I'm glad to see show for us. I hope it stopped the fighting and protected our guys. And unfortunate to see, that was the northern part of Iraq, the Kurdish area, and it was in more secure hands. Back then it was safer, and then after we left Mosul, basically got worse and fell. So anyway, tough stuff. I don't think war is the answer. I don't agree with it, but you stayed to the end. So there you go. You get a story. I have written a book on this. I have 2 drafts on it. And if you guys are interested, I may get that out, finish that final draft. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash that like button. Subscribe to get future notifications of my videos. I do random live streams. I put out videos as much as I can, get out as much content and value to you guys as possible. And that means I at least put out a video every Friday. Please support the UAP Society. You can buy our merch. You can join us at the Discord. If you have orb videos to share or any UAP videos you want looked at, the best way is to go to the Discord, upload it to the forums, and we can all check the videos out there as a group, analyze, and then we'll hopefully, using decentralized science, get to the bottom of all of this stuff. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day. Peace.